So yeah, as mentioned, my name is Josh Rains. I'm part of the product team at Landmark Information Group. My background has been for the last 9 years across Geodata, to be honest. I started at Landmark focusing on our EnviroCheck product and then worked into working across ProMap. And I think the reason that I'm so passionate about the role of product management and actually the position of that in Landmark was represented really well today, because we have the opportunity to talk to our customers, talk to our partners, talk to the suppliers within the market, understand the direction of where the market is going and act in collaboration, I think, is the key word for driving value into the market. So, and the map impact, and Richard, your example, is just the perfect opportunity for us to demonstrate that. And that's really what I wanted the focus of what I'm going to talk to you about today to be on is what we've been working on across the past 9-12 months. Summit, if you've been to our summit before, you may have heard a bit of it, but I'm excited to talk sort of the variety of that. And then what's the direction of travel that we're looking at? Where do we sort of continue to iterate and provide value across our current product suite? How do we see that evolving into the future? And I won't steal your thunder, Catherine, with a focus on our use cases of digital data. And then also that split between, do I consume data on demand, getting live data every time I'm sourcing it, every time I'm looking at my project, I get the latest data, or do I take a static view shot in time where I can provide a risk assessment, my client can then trust that data and trust my opinion because it's been set within that period of time. And I think that's the really interesting thing as we continue to move through the evolution of that data content. So where have we been working? And I think the first place to start with is across ProMap. And I think the areas that I focus on within the product team do, particularly from data, is not just the formats that are available, but the tools and software that are around to use it. And how do we make it as easy to use as possible? How do we put the features around it that allow you as the experts to unlock the value from that? Whether that just be from a case of using Ordnance Survey Master Map, or whether that be more involved within the data across local plans, across planning applications, across the environmental suite as well. And I think that's where the focus of ProMap is. And ProMap is used across the market. It's used by surveyors, developers, architects for a variety of services. And I think that span from sourcing a map from a planning application all the way to creating a complex plan as part of a farm payment scheme. And we identified that actually, based on the feedback that we were receiving from our customers, it was trying to do a lot. It was trying to do a lot for a lot of different people. And for new users, they were often looking at this and going, I don't know where to start. So we approached this and we tackled this and launched earlier this year an updated user experience within ProMap that focused on simplifying the UI, making it easier to digest and easier to discover the tools that have been available for a long time, with focuses on the drawing tools in particular, making it available to use the title picker tool to either do a master map boundary or land registry boundary, highlighting some of the tools like snap to point so it's easier to draw exact boundaries that may not follow exact boundary lines or registered lines, but then also drawing attention to the viewable data tools within ProMap and making it easier to access a higher variety of content. So like I say, extending that to planning applications across GB with not only the high-level data of a planning application available for each point, but then giving the next steps of being able to click into the full application suite alongside that. Alongside those, providing environmental data, flooding data, and then supporting that also with digitized local plans by Landmark, which has standardized all the local plans across GB into one format so you can see all the attributes. And a lot of that content was there already, but by focusing on the UI, it made that it's aiming to make that less biased. I know that is aiming to make that more accessible to our customers. And so we rolled that out in earlier this year, around February March time. I'm really pleased by the feedback that we've been receiving across there. But I think another area of focus that we took, and like I mentioned at the start, is that we can't do it all ourselves. As part of the market that we work in, as part of the continued funding that we see into property technology, we recognise that there are a lot of our partners who are really excelling in services. And one of the partnerships we launched earlier in the year was with a partner called RenCap. So Landmark's position in the market, and Landmark and ProMap and EnviroCheck in particular, we focus on the supply of data. Our customers and our clients are excellent in consuming that data and providing that risk assessment or that interpreted information to their clients in turn. And the reason that we partnered with RenCap is that they provide a unique online platform that allows to sort of extend the services by procuring additional detailed reports across a variety of vendors. So within a single platform, you can receive minimum of three quotes for each of the services that are sort of listed on screen. So taking away the pain from that procurement process, that management, that admin of finding additional vendors, giving them all the details about the site, waiting for the lead time in terms of those, in terms of that feedback, and then also having to read 3 different responses or 4 different responses in different formats. So in this process, it's about uploading a site, selecting the services that you'd like to receive, receiving those quotes, and then having that all back into one consumable dashboard. And we found that a really exciting prospect by the fact that we're extending and working with the market to go from, well, here's the data service that we can offer you either in the form of EnviroCheck, in the form of ProMap, but here's an additional service that you may choose to be valuable as part of the suite of services that you give to your clients. And I think that's the area that we really want to focus on, is that collaboration across the market. And so the final point I want to talk to is sort of the direction of travel that we're looking at going across into the new year and beyond, really. And it's in recognition to that use case of data, I think, is the key focus point for me. Currently today we have a product called EnviroCheck, a number of you may be familiar with, in which we provide site-specific environmental data and historical mapping that's predominantly, not wholly and exclusively used, but predominantly used in the contaminated land market for assessing and creating conceptual site models. And supporting EnviroCheck, we also have a tool called EnviroCheck Analysis, which allows it to be used online, overlaying historical maps going back to 1820, 1840, but also supporting that with site-specific data. But again, working with our customers, the feedback that we're focusing on and looking to work towards is readdressing the data content that we have, making sure it remains consistent, making sure it remains appropriate for the market. An example of that recently being the SEPA flooding data that we're looking at and we're appraising at the moment, but also the site sizes that are being worked on. Typically in the past, we've seen the predominant number of our site sizes under that 10 hectare mark. But as we see significant investment in larger projects, making sure that the technology that we're providing is appropriate for those. And then finally, next up on the list is a move towards web services and APIs. We launched our WebMap tile service last year, providing on-demand access to raster mapping. But alongside that, we've been working with the Ordnance Survey's Data Hub and providing that to our clients for use in consuming data directly into their GIS platforms or other internal projects. And I think the area that we see that continuing and focusing on going into next year is as the National Geographic database from the Ordnance Survey becomes more widely adopted, more widely used, we're really keen to understand the use cases that are perfect and needed by our clients, because what the National Geographic database enables is that more bespoke consumption of data. What is it about the traditional master map or the traditional vector map or other services that would be valuable, and how can we build around those to provide the optimum product to market? And again, I won't steal thunder, but a focus on digital data and the extension of the services that we see across ProMap, the viewable data layers, planning applications, local authorities, extension of the products and services we see out of EnviroCheck with the site-specific environmental data, and how can we make that readily consumable into GIS platforms. And I think this is where we see that differentiation between live on-demand data and that static snapshot in time. And I think what I'd be really willing to hear feedback on is where is that most appropriate? What type of projects match both? Is it a hybrid approach that we'd like that suit you best? So if you do have any thoughts, feedback, any focused data that you'd really like to see coming from Landmark, please do let me know, and I'm all ears during the next break. So very brief and quick summary, but as I mentioned, really interested to hear your feedback as we continue going forward. So thank you very much.